And now for some real fun. What can't they do on this? On this, they'll play all day and may not know when to come in. There are so many ways to use it. For extreme adventure,
That looks like so much fun.
It is.
or for extreme chill and relaxation. You may have noticed up to this point 2 different swing set structures. When you get going crazy, a lot of forces are placed on the set, and so you need a really strong frame and a really wide stanced frame. You can build a real beefy set like this, or I've found that Eclipse swing brackets get the job done and work great. With them, it's a lot quicker and easier to make this set. They are a super solid bracket, and the set comes out a lot cleaner and nicer looking. And I'll provide a link in my description where to get them. You don't want to try and build it with any other bracket. It'll just wobble all over the place. This is a very tall set. It's more than 10 feet high. And you can make it without the platform swing with just 3 traditional swings if you prefer. It's so effortless to get going. And guess what? No more having to push the little ones on the swings so that they can swing. Even the littlest ones can get this thing cruising so easily. So, your choice. Push the limits and pretend you're in a rocket ship, or sit back, relax, and just sway in the sun.
Start. Get higher. And higher. And higher. Higher. We're not going to sleep forever. Yummy, Luchi's here. Wait. Luchi, you have to try this. Okay. Luchi! Give it! Try to touch the leaves. I'm trying to! 1, 2, 3, try!
So let me show you how to make this set. You don't need to take any notes. You can go to the link here for complete material lists of everything you need. And I'll be making it with a 12-foot beam and 12-foot legs and with the Eclipse swing brackets. And even though Eclipse swing brackets can be used with legs with squared tops, if you're making the set with the platform swing on it, you'll want to cut the tops of the legs at an angle flush to the beam because of the extra stress that the platform swing puts on the beam. Take your 4x4 leg and cut it at 60 degrees. Then flip it over, and with the typical 4x6 beam that we're using, we want to cut 1 3/4 inches off the top. And this we do at a 30-degree angle. And repeat for all 4 legs. Of the 4x6 lumber, I have the one 12-foot long beam, and then I have 2 8-foot pieces, and out of each of those I'm going to cut 1 5-foot long section and 1 35-inch section. Then stain all your lumber. I like using a 4-inch roller with a 4-inch tray. This is a bare exterior stain in chestnut color, if you're wondering. And if you're going to be treating the bottoms of the legs with a wood preservative, then don't stain the bottom 2 inches. And you can brush on or soak in the wood preservative for a couple of hours. Now position a bracket on what will be the bottom side of the beam, flush to the end, and centered with the beam. Mark the centers of the 4 holes. And drill all the way through with a 3/8" drill bit. Take a 3/8 by 7-inch hex bolt with a 3/8" washer and a 1/2" washer and pound it in from the other side. Place the bracket back on with a 3/8" washer and a lock nut on each one. You only need to tighten 2 of these lock nuts at this time, doing your best to center the bracket with the beam. Hold the leg flush to the beam and flush to both sides of the bracket, and mark the centers of the 4 holes. And mark these 2 sides of the leg with tape so that after you drill the holes, you'll know which sides go flush against the sides of the brackets. Now you can repeat this process to mark a second leg just like this one. For the remaining 2 legs, you'll want to use the other side of the bracket to mark them. And you can mark 2 legs like this using this side of the bracket. Then drill the 4 holes all the way through in each leg. Remove the bracket from the beam and connect each bracket to its pair of legs. With a 3/8 by 5 inch hex bolt, 3/8 washer, 1/2 inch washer, and a 3/8 lock nut. Putting the nuts on most of the way, but leaving them just loose enough that the bracket can still shift. And then attach the other leg the same way. Again, you want them to be just shy of tight so that the bracket can shift somewhat on the legs. And now we're going to put the horizontal cross piece on the legs. Measure down 72 inches from the top of the leg. And right in the middle, don't drill all the way through, but a little less than 3 inches. Drill with a 5/16 drill bit, not a 3/8 drill bit, but a 5/16. And do this on both legs. And now our horizontal cross piece is going to be a temporary cross piece for now. You can use just a $3 8-foot 2x4 for this. In this piece of lumber, drill a 3/8 hole all the way through near one end, say 3 inches from the end. And then towards the other end, at 73.5 inches from the first hole, drill another. Mind you, this measurement only works if you are making this set with 12-foot legs. And then attach this cross piece to the legs with your 3/8 by 6 inch lag bolts. Just don't drive them into the leg more than 3 inches. Back to the beam, we're going to drill the holes for the swing hangers. And once again, we have what will be the bottom of the beam facing up. We measure 22 inches from the end of the beam and make our mark for what will be our first hole. We drill at this mark all the way through the beam with a 3/8 drill bit. We then get a 3/8 hex bolt and put it through the swing hanger into this hole so that we can use the swing hanger itself to mark where the other hole goes. And then we drill that hole all the way through. Measure 21 inches from the first hole of the first swing hanger to where you will mark for the first hole of the second swing hanger. Mark for this hole, drill all the way through, insert a hex bolt through the swing hanger into this hole so you can mark the next hole and drill it. And then repeat these steps on the other end of the beam where the other swing will go. Now working on the platform swing supports, you have 2 of these 35-inch 4x6 pieces that cross the beam at the top to hold the platform swing. With some tape, mark each as to the top, the front, and whether it's the left or right piece. Find the center point at 17.5 inches from the end and 2 3/4 inches from the side. And drill all the way through this point with a 5/16 drill bit. And repeat this for the other piece. Clean off the bottom and any splinters. With the beam now turned upright, mark the front of the beam and place the 2 cross pieces on it. Then slip in your two 5-foot long pieces like this. They will help to hold these top cross pieces flat with respect to the beam. And then position each cross piece at 58 inches from the end of the beam. And then you can eyeball that it's in the center of the beam, or you can make measurements from each side. And just eyeball that it's kind of square with the beam. Then again with your 5/16 bit, use this hole you already drilled to guide your bit down into the beam, drilling a couple of inches into the beam. Then remove the cross piece and finish your hole into the beam about 3 inches. Change to the 3/8 drill bit and re-drill this hole in the cross piece. And clean it off. Before inserting your 3/8 by 6 inch lag screw with 3/8 washer and 1/2 inch washer, use your 5/16 bit to probe that the holes are lined up. And drive in lag screw. And repeat these steps for the other cross piece. And now mark each of these 5-foot sections as front or back so you know which they are. And center these 5-foot pieces on the beam by measuring in 42 inches from the end of the beam. Now check that these 5-foot pieces are nice and flush against the top cross piece. There's a tiny gap here. I'm going to close it up with a piece of folded paper. The rest look good. This front piece will be attached to the beam with 6 3/8 by 6 inch lag bolts. One at 22 inches from the end in the middle, and one at 22 inches from the other end in the middle, and two on each end. One at 4 inches from the end and 1.5 inches from the top, and the other at 4 inches from the end and 1.5 inches from the bottom. And repeat on the other end. The back piece will be held on with 4 3/8 by 6 inch lag bolts. One at 22 inches from the end and 2 inches from the top, and the other at 22 inches from the other end and 2 inches from the top. And then one on each end at 4 inches from the end and in the middle. Now in both the front and back piece, we're going to insert one lag bolt to hold them in place while we drill all the other holes. Now we're going to first drill the lag bolt's depth with the 5/16 drill bit. We can wrap a piece of tape on the bit to mark the depth we want. Drill all the way into the depth of this tape, and then change to the 3/8 bit and drill through just the outer piece and not into the beam. On many bits, the cutting part of the bit is 3.5 inches long, which is how far you want to go. You can use this as a guide. With the two washers, drive the lag bolt in. Then drill the other 5 holes to lag bolt depth with the 5/16 bit. Then do the same thing for the 4 marks on the back piece, drilling to lag bolt depth with a 5/16 bit, then through just the outer piece with a 3/8 bit, and drive in the lag bolt. Then drill the other 3 holes on this back piece to lag bolt depth with the 5/16 bit. And then changing our bit back again to the 3/8 bit, we re-drill all these holes through just the outer piece. That's to a depth of 3.5 inches on both the back piece and the front piece. Now we're not going to put in the rest of the lag bolts now, except for one more on each side so that on both the front and the back piece we have the 2 middle bolts in. So now check that these top pieces are square. You can throw a square on them or measure across them. We're going to mark for a hole at 1.5 inches in from the side of the top piece and 1.25 inches in from the side of the piece under it. And drill a hole to full 6-inch lag bolt depth with your 5/16 inch bit. And then enlarge the hole to the depth of just the top piece with your 3/8 bit. Just the top piece. And drive in your 3/8 by 6 inch lag bolt with washers. And repeat these same steps for the other piece. Do a quick check that everything stayed square. And then we're going to drill 3 more holes on this piece. Each hole 1.5 inches from the edge of this piece and 1.25 inches from the edge of the piece underneath it, staggering these two bolts into the piece beneath them. And on the other piece. And then drill each of these the full 6-inch lag bolt depth with your 5/16 bit. And I've drilled both pieces. Now remove both top pieces. Now the swing hangers hang from the bottom of these, so we have to flip it over to mark and drill these holes. They're drilled at 5 inches from the end, with the hanger centered in the middle of the piece. Mark and drill the first hole all the way through with a 3/8 bit. Place your hex bolt in the hole and use the hanger itself to guide the start of the second hole. Move the hanger and finish drilling the hole all the way through. Do the other end the same, and do the other piece. And lastly, still using your 3/8 bit, enlarge all the holes in the middle to 3/8 on both pieces. Now getting ready to attach the A-frame legs and tip the set upright. You can leave these 5-foot pieces on the beam or take them off if you want a lighter set to upright. Just bring in a set of A-frame legs and push it over the beam. Put on 3/8 washers and lock nuts and tighten.
Okie dokie.
Then with the help you need, walk it up and over. Be really careful doing this. Find your way, don't take any chances. Have enough of the right people. Get all kids out of the area. And walk it up past its apex to where it just wants to fall on its own to the other side. And then you can just release it and let it drop. The one thing you don't do is try to thrust or lunge it past its apex. Because if it then doesn't go past apex, it'll come crashing back down on you. Now just loosen up a bit the top 4 nuts you just had tightened, and then adjust any of the 4 legs that they come down as straight as possible. Eyeball and move them as necessary. With the loosened top bolts, you can make some adjustments. Now tighten just the 4 bolts of each leg to bracket. You do this by alternating between opposing bolts as you tighten, in order to draw the leg tight into the bracket's corner. This bracket requires hex bolts and nuts in this tightening process. Do not be tempted to use any other type of fastener such as lag bolts, lag screws. Now remove our temporary horizontal crosspiece and notice the gap at the top between the leg and the beam. We'll now extend the front leg and the back leg as much as they will go. And now at the top you can see that the gap is gone and the legs are tight and flush against the beam. Now grab your permanent horizontal crosspiece and 3 inches from the end in the middle, drill all the way through with your 3/8 bit. And attach to one leg with a 3/8 by 6 inch lag bolt with a 3/8 washer. And then hold up the other end and eyeball where to mark for a hole that will line up with the hole already in the leg. Mark and drill it all the way through with your 3/8 bit and drive in the other lag bolt. Now we'll go back up top and fully tighten the 4 bolts to the beam. In a couple of weeks and in a couple of months, you'll want to check to see if your lumber has shrunk somewhat and re-tighten the bolts on the brackets. Any squeaking is your telltale sign that the brackets need to be retightened. Now we'll fully attach both 5-foot pieces with the 3/8 by 6 inch lag bolts, 1/2 inch washer and 3/8 washer. 6 of them on the front piece and 4 on the back piece. And being really careful at this height, fully attach both top cross pieces with 3/8 by 6 inch lag bolts, 3/8 washer and 1/2 inch washer. Each one takes 5. For the swing hangers for the regular swings, insert a 3/8 by 7 inch hex bolt with a 3/8 and 1/2 inch washer from the top, and you'll probably have to pound it through. Underneath, place a 3/8 washer and lock nut and tighten. The platform swing hangers are done exactly the same, only with 5 inch hex bolts. Now cut 2 pieces of 1 1/4 inch dowel to 30 inches. I like using a hardwood like oak, and then mark it 3 inches from each end for the holes. The mark on one end needs to line up with the mark on the other end so that these holes are parallel, and drill all the way through with a 1/2 inch bit. I then brush on an exterior polyurethane. Now I like using a 1/2 inch twisted nylon rope. A rope the same size as the holes will hold better. You see here how the handles are easily adjusted up and down. To make each of the 4 hanging ropes, I cut a piece of rope about 148 inches long. To cut nylon rope, wrap 2 pieces of tape a 1/2 inch apart from each other and cut in between them with sharp scissors. You can leave the tape on, burn the ends, glue the ends, or dip them in polyurethane. At the top, I fold back about 12 inches of rope and make a simple knot in it. And hang this from a carabiner. These carabiners are included with the swing hangers. Then pass the rope just straight through the handle, and at the bottom it's just one simple knot. You know, tied just like this. About 8 inches from the first knot, add 2 or 3 more. This also helps hold it in place when we stuff it here. Hang at a minimum of 22 inches to start with, front and back. The rope will stretch out a little bit as they use it. Very important safety note. You want to always have it hung high enough to pass over a person lying flat on the ground. And as a related note, this set is a whole new thing, somewhat experimental. Observe and ensure that your kids are using it in a safe manner and not putting themselves or others at risk. Now just hang the swings and you're done. Oops, nope, almost forgot to lop off the ends. For a complete list of the materials you need to make this set and where to get them, go to eclipseswing.com. If you think this is all pretty cool, I would appreciate a thumbs up. And subscribe to my channel if you want to see my next fun projects.